Welcome to TMZ Live. It was heartbreaking to hear Savannah Guthrie yesterday beg for the kidnappers to tell her family where her mother is. Nancy Guthrie has been gone for 6 months. There is something that Savannah Guthrie said yesterday that really opened up a real question about what the family has done to connect with the kidnappers.
Well, we have said all along, people have questioned, you know, they had these ransom notes, they had Bitcoin addresses, but apparently never paid. And then in that video yesterday, Savannah said, "We've done our part."
This is what she said.
Yeah.
Just listen to this, and it kind of escaped a lot of people, but listen to these words.
I'm coming on today with a very specific message. It has been months since our mom was taken from us. We have done our part, and we will never stop looking for her. We will always ache for her and feel that hole in our hearts. The world can be a cruel and unforgiving place, and I know that you have tried to do things the right way. So I'm asking you, begging you, to do the right thing now. Make the right choice. Help us find her. Tell us where to look for her. I believe there is always a way home. Please make the right choice.
We have done our part. What does that mean? We started looking at this thinking, could that mean that they paid the ransom money? Because in the first note, they had asked for $4 million, which escalated to $6 million. But we have the Bitcoin address from that note, and there was no payment made.
Yeah.
And so we contacted our sources at the FBI, and they gave us some clarity.
Yeah, well, first of all, they made it clear that the reason that Savannah was doing this is because the anniversary, the 6-month anniversary is approaching. Will be Saturday, will be 6 months since Nancy was taken. And there's always heightened awareness around that. The other part of it, as far as when she said, "We've done our part," that was a reference to money. The $1 million reward that Savannah and her family have offered.
So she's not talking, and our FBI sources said, when she said that, she wasn't really referencing the kidnappers directly, because they're not going to pay to apprehend them, essentially. But all the other people who might know where Nancy was taken, where she is now, and maybe where the kidnappers are as well, they know something, and the family put up $1 million, and that's what she was referencing,
It's like they're trying to
according to the FBI, when she said, "We have done our part."
They're trying to flip. They're trying to flip someone who either did know or has any knowledge of who took Nancy.
It would be almost impossible to believe that just a single person or two people who involved in the kidnapping are the only two people that know her whereabouts. People always
know that it happened,
know that it happened, and know where she might be. So I guess the idea, to your point, is to play on that weak spot, to play on the people who wouldn't necessarily be implicated in the crime, but who have knowledge of potentially where she is.
And who could get $1 million.
And who would be entitled to $1 million.
And so we know that the FBI was working with the Guthrie family and knew that Savannah was going to record this. So we know now that when she said, "We have done our part," that she's talking about the $1 million. The part that I still don't understand and could not get clarity on from the FBI is when she says to the kidnappers, "I know you've tried to do the right thing." What does that mean?
I heard that when we were just playing it. To me, it lands as, you remember, in the second note that they sent when they announced that, when they revealed that Nancy had died,
they showed regret.
They certainly sounded like they had regret. They said, "Look, this was not our intention."
But she died.
But she died.
But how is that?
And the fact that they even let them know that, the fact that they even wrote a note to let the family know that, means that whoever this person or persons are, they
have a moral conscience.
They have a moral compass that they're just trying to tap into. And so
that's fair.
I think that's
fair.
That's part of what's happening there. But yeah, they want someone to say, as Savannah put it, do the right thing.
So the reason that Savannah released this week is because it is 6 months this week from the time that Nancy was kidnapped. And the FBI says that these anniversaries matter, that it brings it back into the public consciousness, that people are going to think, oh my God, it's been 6 months, and somebody might just say, look, enough's enough.
Right. And that is really appealing to someone who knows, who has the information, not the kidnappers. That is about the people who are suddenly going to be thinking about this again.
I think you're right. I was just thinking about what you were saying. I think you're right about the second note. That's doing the right thing, according to them.
Hi, my name is Valerie from Southern California. Savannah is in apparent distress, and it shows in her body language and her facial expressions and the pain behind her eyes. However, the kidnappers seem organized and highly skilled based on the fact that they're able to take her mother without having a trace, and there was also an untraceable bank account. I worry that Savannah herself could be a possible target and that this may be the beginning of an unusual and organized crime behind her.
Yeah, I think that's taking it too far. I don't think that's the issue at all. I really don't.
This was a really tragic one-off. Certainly, that's how it seems right now.
You know what I'm wondering? Why didn't this happen earlier? Why didn't this happen years ago?
Well, what we're about to talk about did happen a couple of years ago. We're just now finding out about it.
Okay.
What we're talking about is the fact that Tom Cruise's daughter, Suri, has dropped his last name, according to voter records in Pennsylvania. And these records, which Page 6 at New York Post actually first spotted this, but she registered back in 2024. So she goes to college in Pennsylvania.
Right.
And she registered in Pennsylvania to vote, and they noticed that she had dropped Cruise from her name. It is now Suri Noel, she goes by.
Interesting, because it's not Suri Holmes.
Yeah, well, actually, that was remember, that was the thing when she was working on a show on Broadway, and she didn't want people, she didn't want the Nepo thing. Right. And so
Tom Cruise,
Suri Noel.
as far as we know, Tom Cruise has just abandoned her a long time ago. When they divorced, when he divorced Katie Holmes, and she wanted to leave Scientology, that was it.
It was around when she was 7, from what we've been told from sources, that they haven't had any kind of relationship. What's interesting is Brad Pitt's going through the same thing with his kids
Totally different reasons.
Totally different.
Totally different reasons.
Totally different. Brad Pitt wanted to have a relationship with his kids. His side believes that Angelina poisoned the well against him, and that the kids turned on him.
The difference being that it certainly seems that Tom, and maybe it's just about Scientology, we don't know.
But Tom shut her off.
Tom, was not.
Tom has shut her off. That's very different.
Yeah. But, it is interesting that, because we just had another one of Brad's kids just last week filed.
It's just so
like
interesting.
When they turn 18, they're all
because you have the kids that lean into their parents being famous, and then you have the ones that want nothing to do.
No, but
not for Brad's
the only
side.
complication, and I don't think it's a complication, because I remember you're right that Suri did say that she didn't want to use a last famous name to get a job. So you could argue that's why she did this, but I don't think so.
No.
I think she changed it because she just doesn't feel that association.
They don't have a relationship.
They have no relationship, and haven't. Yeah. Which has got to be hurtful. I don't care what circumstance you're in.
On both sides, you think?
No. Well,
certainly for Suri.
For Suri.
Absolutely for Suri.
It's Tom's choice.
I don't know about Tom.
Well, it was Tom's choice. I mean, whether Tom's upset or not, that's his deal. I mean, he made the choice. Yeah. But for her, even though by all accounts, Katie Holmes was just has been a loving mom.
When I read this, that she had made the change, and I just thought like what Tom's reaction would be, and whether he would have regrets. Like when you read this and you see that your child has made that choice.
What does he expect?
Would he regret making that choice that he made?
Well,
you're right. It was his choice.
It was totally his choice, and he made that choice over a period of years. So if he had any adverse reaction to it, it's sort of like, dude, that was your call, and you stuck with it for her entire childhood.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying.
No, I know.
He could have regret. Like there can be something that triggers him where he goes, man, I wish I had done that differently.
And I will say, nobody feels sympathy for him in that.
No, they definitely don't.
Hey, I'm Hillary from Toronto, and honestly, I think whether you're famous or not, you should, as a daughter, be allowed to decide if you want to take your father's last name with you to college. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like it should be mutual too, because like the amount of times I blacked out over light beer in college, like my dad should want his last name back, you know, like that seems fair.
Well, that's not.
Wait a second.
That's
Did
not.
I hear that right? That you said the amount of times I blacked
Yeah,
out?
she said that.
All right. We have someone you should talk to.
Yeah.
Courtney!
Coming up.
There is some new video that has surfaced in the Nolan Wells case. This new video shows the boat that Nolan's friends were on when they left the island. This is the boat that Nolan arrived at Horn Island on July 4th.
Same friends, and there's no Nolan in sight.
Be right back.
There is some new video that has surfaced in the Nolan Wells case that seems to support what we were told by sources directly with direct knowledge of the investigation, that after Nolan's friends left on their boat at 4:30, that Nolan remained at the island. And in fact, there was one report that claimed that he was there as late as 6 o'clock, still on the island. This new video it shows the boat that Nolan's friends were on when they left the island. This is the boat that Nolan arrived at Horn Island on July 4th.
Same friends.
Same friends. Seven people, which is what we heard them describe on the call to the tow company. And they're all on the boat there. This is as they are trying to get it started.
And there's no Nolan in sight.
Right. And the 7 people you can see on there, Nolan is not one of them.
And I think it's important to say, and you said it, but I want to reinforce it. That's at the beginning of the trip, so it's not as if...
No, this is at the end of the day. This is 4:30 in the afternoon.
I'm sorry, at the beginning of the trip home. So that it's not like the boat's in the middle of the water and that something may have happened in between. This is as they're leaving.
Yes, they
Horn
knew
Island.
that they had a problem as they were leaving. It's part of the reason they were rushing. We've heard his friend Warren describe that they were yelling at him, "Come on, get on the boat." So,
I mean, the only point I want to make is that it's not like the boat had traveled for 10 minutes and something could have happened in the 10 minutes. It's right at Horn Island where you see this video.
Right. So eventually they get the boat started and they get towed for a while, and then they end up going back to the mainland.
So this is really relevant because a lot of people think that his friends that he went with in some way are hiding something that may have happened in their presence with Nolan.
And the audio from that phone call that was made to the tow company certainly added to that made people, because some people think they hear a reference to Nolan and they think they hear a reference to him being dead. But
he's not on that boat.
But he's not, from this video, at this point when this video is shot, Nolan is not on that boat.
Which is consistent with what we had heard.
And then we also know that the police have spoken to people and have either video or photos that show that Nolan was still on Horn Island after 4:30. Now, I've been saying all along, the main thing is if his friends leave at 4:30, who were the people who were with Nolan after that? Because they're going to have the answer.
That's right. And there were a lot of people on the island.
A lot of people there.
It was the 4th of July.
There is the girl named Katie, who, you know, we heard Nolan's mom say that she spoke to Katie, but Katie said that she saw Nolan, but sort of a hi-bye in passing thing. Now, that's not how their friend Warren described it, but if it's not Katie, there were other people who were there.
There were a lot of people.
And so who is going to the police? We now know from a document from the Department of Marine Resources in Mississippi. This is a document, ABC News obtained this, but it shows what they told searchers when they were going out searching for Nolan. And there were witnesses who described Nolan. So now we know there were definitely people who saw him and said that they described him as having a lot of alcohol that day.
That he was drinking heavily.
Heavy alcohol intake that day. Now, I don't know how much. I understand that could be relevant depending on when we find out from the coroner how he actually died. So it could be relevant there. I don't think, it's not a big newsflash to me. We spoke to a friend who was out there. He told us that the kids were drinking.
Well, but
we've heard multiple, and also
I think
it's 4th of July.
But there's a difference.
What are 18 and 19-year-olds doing on an island
they're drinking heavily.
Of
but
course.
they hadn't used the word heavily until now. And look, the reality of the word heavily is that if somebody falls overboard, that drowning is probably more of a possibility.
I also think that word heavily is incredibly subjective.
It is.
So
yeah, but you know what?
Someone described to the police as heavily may not have been that big of a deal. I'm just saying it is too early to say whether or not him having alcohol, which is not, again, if you ask me, did I think Nolan was drinking that day? Of course he was. Do I think that it had anything to do with what happened to him? I just don't know.
Well, I don't know
and
either.
Nobody does.
But here's what I think. That when you say that witnesses said he was drinking heavily, the big thing that I'd like to know is, are they basing it on how many drinks they saw him consume or his conduct? And those are two very different things.
Yes.
That if somebody is just falling down drunk, that's different than saying he had 3 or 4 drinks.
Right.
And we don't know what the basis was for saying he was drinking
The other
heavily.
relevance of it is what time of day was that, and when was the last time someone saw him? Because there was a last time, there was someone who saw him. What did they see? And that's the whole ball of wax there. And until we hear from that person, none of us really know, and we're all speculating as to what could have happened to him.
Right.
Jordan from Jackson here. As a native Mississippian, my heart aches for Nolan and the Wells family. In this audio, you can hear them screaming his name in the background. To me, that says he was already unalived when they had called the tow.
But let me stop you for a second. How do you explain then this video of them leaving Horn Island on that boat and Nolan's not even on the boat? They made the call shortly thereafter when the boat was taking on water. And I know what you're saying because we've heard it, but if there's no video of him on the boat, how would they be saying that, 5 minutes in?
My theory is that they panicked, dumped the body, and left. That is my theory. They knew that if they called, they could make it seem like the boat was sinking. That's what I think.
But
I don't
he's
think
not
the boat
on.
was
But he's
sinking at
not
all.
on the
No,
boat.
but he's saying that this video is shot after whatever happened to him happened. He's suggesting that whatever calamity happened to him, whatever someone did to him, happened before this video.
I get it, but before the boat was just leaving Horn Island when the video was taken. So where would that have happened? That's my point.
Again, the police could clear this up by sharing whatever evidence it is they have of him being on the island at a certain time. It appears they're just not willing to come forward with that at this point, probably because they're in the middle of their investigation.
Coming up.
Kelsey Grammer has major beef with the education system in America.
There's a whole series of questions that come into it that it's basically child abuse.
Be right back.
TMZ's got every freaking thing. Big celebs, big stories, big events.
Donnell Rawlings took TMZ DC on a city tour.
You know what the irony of this is? A black man takes a white person to the White House.
It's TMZ.
Kelsey Grammer has major beef with the education system in America, which he describes as abusive.
Child abuse.
Now, as child abuse, yes. He says that it is child abuse. Now, when you see that headline, you think that he's talking about teachers actually...
Corporal punishment.
Yeah, doing something. That's not it at all. Listen to how he described this, how he defended this stance when he was on Katie Miller's podcast.
I think the educational community has really dropped the ball, probably deliberately in a lot of ways, but because they don't like the idea that we are a great country. That something in our education system decided to think that we aren't, and to teach our children that. And of course, if you're learning that from your teachers, we believe our teachers. We do. So that you end up searching your soul for why you're not a good person, why you aren't good anymore, why our country isn't good. So that means mom and dad aren't very good either, are they? And there's a whole series of questions that come into it that it's basically child abuse.
Why does education seem to self-select those type of educators?
It does. It was a plot. It wasn't.
You think this is a conspiracy theory?
Absolutely. It's not a theory. It's a conspiracy.
Well, he went on the right podcast, didn't he? This is the dumbest. This is one of the dumbest things I have seen in a long time. And this notion that we should somehow scrub vital parts of our history that are important to understand how we got to where we are. For example, the reason you teach slavery is how do you explain the Civil War, which is one of the most consequential things to ever happen in America? How do you explain that without referencing slavery?
It's
ridiculous.
What is exhausting at this point is this belief that just because you teach kids about something that actually happened, teachers are not making it up, but if you teach kids about something that happened in the country that was bad, that automatically means that
you hate America.
That you hate America, that those kids are bad, that their parents are bad. That's not what teachers are telling you.
He's obviously a very conservative guy, and what he's doing is he's releasing these videos online that each video is 1 year of U.S. history. That's like what he's trying to put out there, which is why they're talking about this. But I think the sentiment he's trying to say, there needs to be a little bit of a middle ground to where the pendulum has swung so far one way that it is a lot of people being like, America's the worst, people hate America. The country has done a lot of good things.
I understand that,
so I think there needs to be a middle ground.
You teach those things as well.
And by the way,
when you teach slavery, you also teach Reconstruction.
They also abolish.
Well, how about this? Yes, there was racism, but you teach the civil rights movement, and you learn about Martin Luther King, and you learn about how the country got better.
Has that changed, though? Because I learned about all those things. Has that changed now?
No, I mean, look, there are probably teachers who have gone way overboard because the whole country is wacky. But the concept that we want to scrub everything bad because it somehow makes you hate America is absurd. Is absurd. And these culture wars and firing people at the Smithsonian because they would dare have a display of some of the things that you don't want to see.
Interesting.
Is absurd.
But you know what's interesting? That it does feel like what he at least would like to happen, and other conservative people, is to go back to you don't. And we've talked about this. I know that when I was going to school, we didn't learn. I mean, we learned like this much about slavery. Yes, we knew that it existed, but we didn't learn anything about it. And I think that was your experience also.
Well, I went to school during Reconstruction, so it was a little different.
It was still fresh.
Hey guys, listen, thanks for having me on here. Streaming. I'm the Midnight streaming from New York City. Listen, at the end of the day, listening to Kelsey Grammer, I got a 19-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. And if I would have done this all over again, I would have absolutely had them homeschooled because it is absolutely an atrocity and it's disgusting the things that they're teaching them in these schools. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to even go a step further. I believe that the hatred for this president of the United States of America is superseding the safety and the security of our own families and our own children. That they're absolutely, and I've seen it with my own eyes, they are indoctrinating our children in this country. They're teaching them to hate this country. The country doesn't have your back. There's better places, there's better options, better ideas. Socialism, communism is running wild, and our children are being, the things that are being thrown at their heads, they can't process it quick enough. When they start to try to process one thing, something else is being thrown at them.
Look,
and I just tell you,
look, you're right, I think, that there are teachers who have gone overboard. I mean, in a way, like on college campuses now, the fact that teachers and students are embracing Hamas is insane. And there is that hatred of America, and I get it.
That's also a different thing when you talk about college, right? Because now you're talking about people who are legally adults.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
But I think he's talking more about
I get it. What I'm saying is, I think the secondary school, primary and secondary school, they have not gone as far. Yeah, there are probably teachers who do that in those schools, but it's not as prevalent as college. If you want to focus on where the real problem is, it really is more in the colleges, I think, than primary and secondary education.
Coming up.
So we now know Singer David is going to stand trial for the murder of Celeste Rivas. That is clear. The prosecution has presented its case pretty clearly. What is the defense going to argue here? It seems to me, at least, that there are two possibilities.
Be right back.
So we now know singer David is going to stand trial for the murder of Celeste Rivas. That is clear. The judge ruled that yesterday. And, you know, the prosecution has presented its case pretty clearly that David was lying in wait at his home as Celeste showed up. And within a 21-minute period after she walked through the door, prosecution says he killed her. And he killed her because she was about to expose their sexual relationship. She was 13, would have ruined his career.
Right.
What is the defense going to argue here? It seems to me, at least, that there are two possibilities.
And it's based on things that were said in court on that last day of the preliminary hearing.
Right. One is that Celeste was enraged at David because another girl was at his place. And
they read those text messages in court.
The text saying that
the night before, they believe, her last day, she said she was angry that there was another woman who had been at David's house. She saw it on social media and threatened. She said, "I will strangle you and tell my dad and ruin your career."
And threatened to flat out kill him. So the argument is that did she show up and attack him, and was it self-defense? Now, I'm not embracing that. I'm just saying
that's a possibility.
And why else would they raise it? Second thing,
the other one.
Second thing is that they brought up evidence that Celeste had threatened to kill herself in the past. And that, you know, it raises the specter, will they argue that she actually walked in the door, things went bad.
Started harming herself.
And started harming
took
herself.
her life.
That's right. So they don't have to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. All they have to do is show reasonable doubt that
if they
maybe
create some doubt, that's all they have to do. That's what the defense will try to do when the trial starts. That theory, either of those theories, did not sit well with Celeste's family, as you'd expect. We spoke to her attorney, Patrick Steinfeld, after the preliminary hearing. This is what he had to say about what he heard the defense, the doors that they seemed to be opening during the preliminary hearing.
The defense attorneys brought up some evidence that was deemed inadmissible at this preliminary hearing. They made allegations that didn't have any evidentiary basis, including the assertion that Celeste may have committed suicide or that Celeste was violent. And I personally found that very disturbing. It seems that the defense attorneys are stopping at nothing in an attempt to discredit the prosecution's evidence, and the family was horrified.
That is exactly the job of the defense lawyer,
that is
to try and discredit the prosecution. That's their job.
That's their job. It's also his job as representing the family to say that it's distasteful to them.
Alexa, you were in court.
Right.
Yeah. What was the relationship between the prosecutor and the family attorney? Was there any interaction?
Yeah, I mean, the prosecutor, you know, she actually gave the family attorney a badge to allow him in every day. She got a little upset with him when he ended up actually speaking to a witness who appeared at the grand jury.
Explain that, because that's interesting. I heard about that too.
Yeah, so there was a witness who I guess allegedly had spoken and got called to the grand jury multiple times. And actually, you know, for the preliminary hearing, you could enter the raffle, which was like a little lottery where 10 people of the public were able to go in and sit in for the hearing. And this witness did get granted a ticket to go in. And as soon as Beth Silverman saw that he was in the audience, saw that, you know, Patrick Steinfeld and the witness were speaking that morning, she flipped out, threatened to remove Patrick's badge from him, and then ended up kicking the witness out of the courtroom.
That witness got kicked out that day. Right.
Correct. They clarified that Patrick and the witness didn't know each other, that the witness didn't know that Patrick was the family attorney, and the family attorney didn't know that this person was a witness. So it was a little convoluted, but definitely a drama on top of all of this.
How was the family reacting to the defense's closing argument?
The family was in and out throughout the entire time, but they did interestingly walk in right when they started uncovering that they had signed off on some consent form to let Celeste go to London with David.
Right. This was sort of laying out that the family was well aware of, at least that's the defense, what the defense is saying, that the family was aware of her relationship with David.
Well, and also there's something else, which is that
and maybe consented.
Well, I think the point they're trying to make, and I don't think legally this works, but they're trying to say that the family knew David was having a sexual relationship with Celeste, and therefore it made it okay.
But
It
also,
doesn't. It doesn't make it okay.
Based on their reaction.
But in his mind.
But also, it's not consent to saying she can go on this trip. That's not the same as saying you have consent to have sex with my 13-year-old child.
What are they thinking?
Well, I get it, but again, legally, it's not the same thing.
Well, Harvey, our chat agrees with you saying that the fact that the family knew that much about the relationship and didn't do something before it got to the point that it did, they should have never knowingly let her be involved with him whatsoever.
And I'll give you the argument. I'll give you here's what I think the defense could argue, is that legally, in terms of a crime, having sex with a minor, if the parents say it's okay, I don't think that makes it okay. I think you can still be prosecuted.
Well, they're not pursuing that. They're pursuing the murder charge.
Well, no. But they're raising having sex with, if it ever gets exposed, David's career is ruined, and therefore he's gonna kill her.
But that's something they haven't been able to connect.
I know, but here's my point: that if David, in his head, believes, well, no, they would never prosecute me because the parents said it's okay, that takes the motive away.
But that's what they've brought up too, is that Celeste never threatened prosecution. She never said she was going to go
She never
to
talked to the
cops.
police.
She said she was just going
But
to.
she did say, "I'll ruin
it."
you.
She said she'll ruin.
So what does that mean?
Well, I also
career.
think there's a big difference. If that what you said is true, that David is thinking it's okay, you better show me some evidence that a family member said you're okay. I grant you permission to sleep with my minor child.
And we'll see what the defense has there. What?
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
you're
also,
right.
David didn't lure her there. She asked repeatedly to go to David's house that week.
Hi guys, I'm Ivy. I'm from Arkansas. I don't think that Celeste willingly went to David's house to kill herself, like the defense is saying. I've read all the articles. I've been keeping up with the case. I haven't been in the courtroom, but I've absolutely been keeping up. And that just makes zero sense. I understand that the defense has to do what they have to do, but there's no way that a child, Celeste, went willingly to David's house and killed herself in his house right after she walked through the door. There is not a single thing that could be said that would make me believe that.
Again, you don't have to believe it. The issue is, can they create a reasonable doubt?
You don't have to believe it, but can they present enough that would make you even consider it a possibility?
Right. I don't know.
Coming up.
Tony Romo has a lot on the line after his arrest for allegedly drunk driving in Milwaukee. First and foremost, everyone thinks about is his job. The more immediate thing, even before if he makes a plea deal or if he's found guilty or not guilty, he's going to lose his license.
Be right back.
Well, we know Tony Romo has a lot on the line after his arrest for allegedly drunk driving in Milwaukee. First and foremost, everyone thinks about is his job. And I don't think that, I mean, depending on how this all works out.
This is not a Mark Sanchez situation.
Right. It's not that at all. I don't think that that's going to be something CBS is considering seriously. The more immediate thing, even before he finds out if he makes a plea deal or if he's found guilty or not guilty, he's going to lose his license. That is most likely the first thing that is going to happen because...
Well, it's going to happen. It's automatic.
Automatic because he refused a breathalyzer during the stop last week. Or actually earlier this week.
You know, and the interesting thing about that is that a lot of people think, oh my God, you're as much as admitting it. Believe me, I'm not advocating that you should refuse it. But the reality is, if he's thinking ahead that he wants to plea bargain this, and prosecutors don't have that evidence, sometimes it opens the door a little bit wider for a plea bargain. And if he pleads, for example, to reckless driving, if the prosecutors accept that, because they don't have to, they could still go to trial, then he doesn't have a DUI in his record.
And I like that you said you're not suggesting this for anyone who gets pulled over.
I am not.
There's also a big difference. You will lose your license. Tony Romo can afford to lose his license because he can have a driver take him wherever. If he loses his license for a year or 2 years, he's fine.
It's actually interesting because now the bigger problem for him seems to be refusing the breathalyzer test. Yeah. In Milwaukee, they treat a first DUI as a traffic violation, whereas this more serious. You obviously you refuse the breathalyzer, and like you said, that's a year automatic loss. Now he has signaled, and he has 10 days to fight this. but he is going to fight the refusal of the breathalyzer. But if he's not successful, and he likely won't be.
How's he going to fight? How
do you fight that?
If the stop was improper, if there was no probable cause for a DUI arrest, so it's a technicality essentially. He's going to lose.
Is this the mugshot?
Yeah,
the one where he's smiling. Yeah, it's very strange. He looked gone.
He's red.
Yeah,
wow.
But they basically took him for that photo, Harv, and then they released him right away.
They do treat it differently than they do.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's a big deal.
We want to talk about something else. So Brian Kohberger yesterday has said that he never wanted to plead guilty to the murders of 4 Idaho students, that his lawyer pressured him, that he had ineffective counsel, and he wants a new trial. And he wants to
withdraw
plead not guilty.
Right. Wants to withdraw his guilty plea.
2 words. Good luck.
How does he go about proving that his lawyers either lied to him, gave him bad advice, or he keeps talking about these promises that he never got? Well, what were the promises? Here's
his problem. He was a criminal justice student trying to get a PhD.
Grad student,
Trying to get a PhD.
Right.
He was immersed in the criminal justice system, learning about it for years. And the idea that at this point in his life, with all of his
what a plea deal is going to...
Good luck. That is going to slam the door shut on any argument that he gets to get a second bite of the apple.
Coming up,
Tom Holland played teacher for a day. There's a star. There's a potential star in this classroom.
He's a star that becomes a falling star.
Are you married?
Be right back.
The things actors do to promote a movie. Tom Holland played teacher for a day. Yes, this is yet another way to promote Spider-Man, and I guess to a lesser extent, The Odyssey.
Yeah,
I don't know if these are elementary school kids.
This is more Spidey than Odyssey.
Yes. So he joined this program that they do, Celebrity Guest Teacher for a Day.
It's a YouTube show, very popular.
And so he went to a school in New York City, and he was their substitute teacher, and he was fielding questions.
And this kid,
there's a star. There's a potential star in this classroom.
He's a star that becomes a falling star.
What is gonna happen in Spider-Man Brand New Day?
I think you are gonna see things that you've never seen before in a Spider-Man movie.
Are you take on Zaya to a date?
Yeah, all the time. My favorite thing to do.
Are you married?
That is a very important question, and I am. You guys obviously haven't been media trained like the publicists that I speak with.
This is Victor, and he's never heard of a publicist.
He's definitely married. I don't know why he avoided my question.
Victor, ask a follow-up.
Hold on, Victor. Kudos for asking the question.
Victor, it was great you asked the question. You nailed it. And the kid, and he evades the answer. And
I want to speak up for Victor.
It's like, sir, you did not answer my question.
I want to speak up for Victor. I think that Victor probably did have a follow-up question, but because the publicists for Tom Holland were involved, they probably edited it out of the show.
And you know what?
No,
even if
you noticed they did a cutaway.
He didn't have a follow-up question, Victor, you did a great job. Do not listen to this man who is trying to put you down. You are on your way.
Well, no, he doesn't.
You are on your way. He called him a falling star.
Falling star.
Are you kidding
me?
Victor, you're up there, my boy. Good job. You asked the questions that your teammates and your classmates did not. Good job, Victor.
Hey, I'm Anne-Marie Gaidosh from New York City, and I agree. I think Victor did a great job with his question. Now, this is one of the reasons why Tom Holland and Zendaya are the internet's favorite couple right now. They've really made privacy part of their brand, and so I think the fans, they just want to know, like, what's going on with the wedding, right? Who was at the wedding? What was Zendaya wearing? We really grew up with the two of them.
Just say you're married.
Nobody's even asking those questions. They just want to know, are you married?
Give us a simple answer.
Yes, we're married.
What's the big mystery? Stop it.
Give Victor what Victor wants.
What else do you want to talk about?
Hi, my name is Mark from Massachusetts, and my big question regarding Nolan Wells is, why did the emergency services terminate all next steps without confirming that the emergency has been resolved, especially with the fact that the owner of the boat was not the initial caller and was not present on the boat?
I'm sorry, the emergency services to tow in the boat, you mean?
Correct, sea tow.
So there was another boat, a friend of theirs came by and actually towed them for a while. And the story is, what Warren has said is that they got the boat started. The friend towed them for a while, and then they got the pump starter, the motor started, and they
You know the weird thing about that
back.
call, though? It's like how casual that dispatcher was.
Yeah.
Because the boat could have been sinking. And
yeah,
was
it
like,
could have been sinking.
Hey, could you repeat that number again?
Yeah.
That
But
was
someone
weird.
else, to answer your question, someone else told them, a friend who was driving by.
One more.
Hi, my name is Queen. I'm from St. Louis, and I wanted to weigh in on the David situation with Celeste's family, feeling some type of way about the lawyer pretty much pinning everything on Celeste. I kind of feel like the parents' anger is a little bit misplaced. I feel as though the lawyer is doing his job, which is to defend his client. I do feel as though the parents should be a little bit more angry at themselves, considering the fact that 13-year-old can only have so much protection for herself, and the supervision of her parents would have easily prevented any of this from happening. So I do feel as though the parents do have to understand that the lawyer has to do his job, but also accountability has to be taken upon the parents, despite how they feel about how the lawyer is kind of presenting the case to defend his client.
Gotta say, what you just said could be a factor in this case.
Yeah, it certainly could turn into one once the trial starts.
Coming up.
So Senator Lindsey Graham was laid to rest today. We got to see Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania in a way we very rarely see him.
Be right back.
So Senator Lindsey Graham was laid to rest today, and they had the funeral service in D.C. His fellow senators all came out. I don't know if they were all there, but there was one that Charlie, our guy in D.C., saw after the service, and it just stood out to him because we got to see Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania in a way we very rarely see him. Obviously, it's a funeral service, so he's wearing a suit. And you know that Fetterman is famous for normally just wearing a hoodie, usually shorts, sneakers. But this is what he talked to Charlie about the suit. Looks like maybe he's going to turn over a new leaf.
How is it to be in a suit for once?
I mean, normal. You know, what do you think?
I think it looks good. I like you in the hoodie, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, now I see people now are wearing shorts now with suits too. So maybe that's enough to really bring me over to the side full time.
So, look, number one, he's being respectful.
He's being respectful and wearing it.
And number two, you know, it's sort of like this is not John Fetterman saying I'm going to just be obnoxious and wear what I want to wear.
No, but the reference to wearing a suit with shorts, that does sound like he thinks, well, maybe if that's going to be fashionable, I could see him doing that. I could definitely see him with a pair of shorts.
I think it's all the rage in Scotland. I do. So he's just cosmopolitan in D.C.
Sure.
We'll see you tomorrow.